Welcome to the Mini Storage Messenger Self-Storage Webinar Series. I'm Poppy Behrens, co-publisher of Minico Publishing, and we're delighted to have you in the audience today. This is one of several informative webinars planned for self-storage owners, operators, managers, investors, developers, and other industry professionals. The sponsor of today's webinar is Phoenix, Arizona-based Minico Insurance, a division of Minico, Inc. Since 1974, Minico has served the self-storage industry with unparalleled expertise, quality products, and friendly customer service. Its superior insurance programs are designed specifically for the self-storage industry in order to protect you, your business, and your customers. Today's speakers are Pete Johnston and Keith McConnell. Pete Johnston is the Tenant Insurance Sales Supervisor for Minico Insurance. In this position, he oversees both the Minico Pay with Rent Tenant Insurance Program and the Tenant One Direct Mail-In Insurance Program. Mr. Johnston has over 5 years of experience in the self-storage industry. Keith McConnell is the Customer Care Manager for Minico Insurance and is responsible for maintaining Minico's high level of customer service for both self-storage professionals and independent insurance agents. He has over 15 years of customer service experience, including a previous management position with ShoreGuard Storage. This year marks the 30th anniversary of the Mini Storage Messenger, providing the self-storage industry with in-depth news and information. Each issue of Messenger offers cover stories and feature articles on the most timely industry topics and trends. Monthly columns contributed by industry experts and accomplished business professionals address a wide range of topics, including security, facility operations, technology, legal issues, legislative updates, construction, and development. We also publish a variety of other self-storage data sources, such as those you see listed on the screen. For more information about these products, please visit ministoragemessenger.com. We invite you to submit questions throughout today's webinar. To do on the question, we will answer it either privately or to the entire group, and those that are not answered in the Q&A period at the end of the webinar will be answered privately by email after the webinar is completed. This webinar is being recorded and will be available for viewing on demand from our archives at ministoragemessenger.com. Today's presentation should run about 45 minutes, with the remainder of the hour open to questions and answers. And now I'd like to turn the presentation over to Pete and Keith. Pete, I think you're up first.
Thank you, Poppy. This is Pete Johnston, and I'd first just like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for joining us today. We're very excited. This is our first tenant insurance webcast. I, along with my colleague Keith McConnell, we will be sharing with you some of the different facets of offering tenant insurance, how it can benefit your business, enhance your customer's experience, and also how it can add some additional revenue to your company's bottom line. Now let's look at how some of the benefits to offering tenant insurance to your customers. It certainly is good customer service to offer a program that provides coverage for your customers' stored valuables. Many customers may not have other protection elsewhere because they may be in transition, and that's due to a move, or they may have certain coverage for their items in an off-site storage unit. The availability of tenant insurance can also be viewed by your customers as an excellent added value service, and that may be the thing that differentiates you from your competition down the street. Another topic that you're hearing a lot about lately is risk management. This is a great way to help balance your risk management strategy by having your customers purchase tenant insurance right then and there at the time of lease. If the customer has purchased a policy and something were to happen to their stored valuables, something like a burglary, possibly water damage, that customer would deal directly with their insurance company to file a claim. However, if they did not buy tenant insurance and a loss were to occur, that tenant may always approach the operator to seek compensation for their loss. Now I ask you, why would you want to take that chance? This potentially costly situation, it can easily be avoided by encouraging all your customers to purchase a policy, and that's an excellent way to strengthen your risk management strategy. Last, and most importantly, in these tough economic times, you hear a lot of companies and they're looking for a way to add additional revenue to their bottom line. How else to do it? Tenant insurance. This is a great potential for increased revenue when a pay-with-rent type insurance program is successfully implemented at your storage location. Now, industry averages show that from 30 to 50% participation of your new tenants can be achieved when this type of protection is made a priority at the point of lease. This is an easy way to generate additional revenue for your facility on a monthly basis just by having your employees offer insurance to that customer when they move in. Now let's talk about some available coverage. I want to give you some background information about the typical tenant insurance policy and what that entails. First, we go over some covered losses. When a customer puts things into storage, it is imperative for them to protect those items by purchasing a tenant insurance policy. Now, this type of policy will cover losses due to events beyond the customer's control or that of the storage facility. Many of the most common causes of loss while in storage would be covered by this type of a tenant policy, and these typically are going to include burglary, lightning, windstorm, hail, then we've got water damage, fire. Next is smoke, and then comes up earthquake, building collapse, explosion, vandalism, and riot. Now keep in mind that some policies do have broader coverage than others, and it certainly is important to compare because you want to be able to provide the best coverage that's available out there so that your valued tenants can pick up on this type of coverage. In summary, once the customer has purchased the insurance, even if the unexpected happens, they will have the peace of mind of knowing that their valuables are protected while they're locked in their storage unit and covered by a tenant insurance policy. Next up, we're going to go over some state rates and some of the coverage details. Every state's going to have different applicable rates, so depending on the location of your facility, the insurance premiums for the tenant, they may vary. These rates are usually set with respect to claims history in a particular state and or the risk of windstorm in regards to the proximity to the ocean coastline. Next is deductible. Again, just as the rates may vary, depending on the state, deductibles can also vary. Now on the Minico program, many tenant policies will have a deductible of $100 per incident. Talking next about coverage and then premium ranges. Typical entry-level coverage starts at $2,000 for the tenant's contents, and that has a corresponding premium of $8. This charge would be conveniently embedded into the individual tenant's total monthly rent charge. And on the top end there, we'll talk about maximum coverage. This can be different depending on the insurance carrier. Out in the industry there are coverages available between $20,000 to $50,000, and that depends on the program, what would be the maximum coverage that would be afforded on a per unit basis. And now I'd like to introduce Keith McConnell. He's our manager of customer care at Minico, and he's going to go over some information about management software. Go ahead, Keith.
Thank you, Pete. Welcome, everybody. Just want to talk a little bit about some of the management software compatibilities with putting in place some type of a tenant insurance program. And we find that most of the top storage management software packages today have tenant insurance programs built right into them. So this means that if you already own one of these software packages, implementing a tenant insurance program at your facility can be done quite easily. The insurance provider that you work with would help you set up the program and will walk you through the activation process step by step and show you how to get it started. And keeping your insured customers organized is really easy through your software, just using the daily use of your management software package. If we look at excuse me, a couple of the next steps, when you're going through your move-in process, activating an insurance policy for the customer is a really simple step as far as just entering the new customer data and selecting the coverage levels. Some of you have already noticed this is an option within your software. Maybe you currently are not offering a tenant insurance program, but you've seen that listed. Again, it's easily found in the software package, and you can choose to activate and adapt it to your facility. And lastly, we look at some of the reporting. Typically, insurance companies will require that you, as an operator, submit a monthly report that's generated by your software package, and that will show items such as the customer's names and the unit numbers of those who are insured, their individual insurance premium charge, the total monthly gross premium that has been collected through your program, any administrative fees that are geared towards you, and then the monthly net premium that's to be remitted to the insurance company. So just by generating these reports, you'll have all of the necessary items from an accounting standpoint. And even for those of you who currently do not have a management software, you can still do a program like this on spreadsheets and working outside of a traditional management software package. So the insurance company that you would work with could also help tell you what their requirements are and what they would like you to submit on a monthly basis. So we'll move forward into some of the administrative requirements. I'll turn it back over to Pete and ask if he could go through those with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. I'm going to look at some of the common requirements for how to use a tenant insurance program. Again, as Keith has just mentioned, we definitely recommend that you have a software package to manage not only your tenants, but also to use the pay-with-rent type of a program. It's definitely recommended. It makes the program work easily, as you mentioned, with little additional administrative time required for successful integration into your storage operation. Next, we look at facility size. Now, we have a suggested number of 300 inside storage units as an average, and that's to make the program viable. And certainly, depending upon the program, it just depends on what size you're going to be. But again, on the Minico program, if a smaller operator wanted to start a program, you should definitely inquire to see if the facility is going to be eligible. Check with your individual insurance carrier. Next, we'll talk about mobile storage. Now, most tenant insurance would be available for the mobile storage industry and for their clients. We would allow the operator to offer a tenant insurance policy of a similar nature to their customers, but please note that requirements may vary by insurance carrier, as mentioned before. And I can't speak for other insurance providers, but on the Minico program, we do allow mobile storage customers nationwide. Another thing that's a growing trend in the insurance industry is the self-storage limited license. Now, in this highly regulated industry, every state and the District of Columbia each has their own respective department of insurance. This allows each one to govern autonomously and thus have different regulations. Certain states now require that the storage operator complete the appropriate state application and be approved for this unique limited license for the self-storage industry. Some states allow online applications. They've got good websites set up. Others still use a paper application and have different regulations depending on whether you use rental trucks or other types of facets. Now, the following states require this self-storage limited license. We've got Arizona, California, Florida, Illinois, New Jersey, North Carolina, Texas, and now most recently it's been approved in Utah. If you're interested in getting more information about this limited license, check with your insurance carrier. They should be able to provide you with the necessary application and also some suggestions on how to get that process started. Please stay with us until the end of our webcast because we are going to provide you with some contact information to explore this further. Now, Keith's going to tell you how you can offer tenant insurance to your customers.
Thanks, Pete. This is one of the most critical parts of the success in a tenant insurance program is really how your employees do it. To all of you owners and operators who are listening, this is key, and your participation and buy-in and leadership in this area is what will really make your program successful. So we'll walk through some of the key steps. We've broken it down into 5 areas for you. The first is just to remind each customer that your facility does not insure their stored valuables. It's typically included in your lease agreement or your rental agreement, but it is really important to reinforce because some customers may have the assumption that when they put things within your facility that you provide some type of insurance coverage for them. So first step is making that clear right up front. Next step would be at the time of lease, make sure and offer each customer the convenience of signing up for an optional insurance coverage right away. And explain that the premiums would be conveniently added right in with the monthly rental charges. I know that sounds really elementary, but one of the biggest components of selling this is just enforcing that every employee mention it at the time of lease. That's where most of those sales are made. The next piece, and we hear a lot about this, is overcoming objections. We've talked with people from all around the country, and I'll key in on one of the objections that we hear time and time again, that having some understanding and some comfort as an employee in discussing this with a customer really makes a difference. So many of the customers will state that they have a homeowner's or a renter's insurance policy already. Now, typically these policies have a little bit higher deductible, Homeowners typically has $250 as a minimum, and you'll see $500 or $1,000. And when a customer is purchasing a tenant insurance policy, the deductibles are $100. So if they're looking at that as a reason not to purchase the tenant insurance, you first talk about the deductible. Second would also be when they're filing a claim on one of those other types of policies, that can add a mark to their customer claim history, and it may cause them to have either a rate increase or the insurance carrier might drop the customer at time of renewal. So getting a tenant insurance policy is a smarter alternative to these potential consequences that could come in just relying on your homeowner's insurance. Let's look at another one. Excuse me, another point would be have each customer review and complete a tenant responsibility addendum. Now, this is an important step as well. At this time, the operator or the manager will remind the tenant that they don't provide the coverage for their stored goods, and this is a secondary reminder, really, that's stated in their rental agreement, but the addendum is retained by the storage facility and added to the tenant's lease or rental agreement in their file, and it's a legal document that has been used in court cases to show proof that the customer was offered tenant insurance. Maybe we can bring one up on the screen for just a moment. I'll show you an example. The customer is given the opportunity to either purchase insurance coverage for their stored items or decline the coverage and accept full responsibility for the loss. They initial next to what their choice is. So a lot of sales are made right at this point because, again, somebody who's trying to watch how much they're spending on their monthly rental, the extra $8 or $10 is in your mind sometimes a deal breaker, but when they get this form out and they look at it and they're really putting the check next to that they're responsible, a lot of times they change their mind, they'll make the purchase right at that time. So having this signed form in the customer's file is also another way to minimize your risk. This document can be a powerful deterrent if a customer threatens a lawsuit or if they're demanding a settlement, if they do experience a loss, and if they haven't purchased the insurance. So just a great piece for you. And then lastly, should they decide to purchase the insurance, enrolling the customer in your management software if they've agreed to the coverage. So that's a real easy last step. But again, it sounds like common sense, but these components, these pieces of it, the successful facilities who implement a program like this, as far as upper management, they really reinforce it with their employees, they practice with them, and they hold them accountable for that. So let me turn it back over to Pete. He can go through some of the benefits again for your facility in offering a tenant insurance program. Pete?
Thanks, Keith. I appreciate you going over that section. I want to talk about the benefits, and this is really getting to the heart of our presentation here. You want to definitely increase that customer participation because that means improved risk management for you and for your business. You want to protect that, and that simple addendum form that Keith just went over, that is a wonderful tool to, again, minimize your risks. If the tenant has purchased a policy and then later ends up suffering a loss, they will file a claim with your insurance company directly. I went over this a little bit earlier, but again, I want to stress that point that when the customer is paying a small price for coverage to be protected, this in turn is going to greatly reduce the possibility of legal action. It's a great deterrent to that. The converse, it's just not such a pretty picture. If an uninsured customer has a loss, there's always the chance that they're going to retain legal counsel, which may in turn do one of the following. They may threaten a lawsuit, they may seek an out-of-court settlement, or choose to file a claim against the storage operator's commercial insurance policy. If the lawsuit were going to end up going to court, even more funds would be required for the storage operator to retain that legal counsel. As well, when it comes to a settlement, any funds that come from out-of-pocket, those are a bad resolution to something that could have easily been avoided at the beginning of the process if the tenant had purchased insurance, a policy at point of sale. The bottom line here is by having higher customer participation, what it gives you is some indirect protection and, again, has improved your risk management. Again, it enhances your customer service while generating revenue. This is a true win-win situation. You as the storage operator, I'm sure that you value your tenants and you care about their stored belongings. You want to give your customers the peace of mind of knowing that their items are protected by an insurance policy from a respected insurance carrier. This is key. At the point of lease, when your tenants need it most, that is the perfect time to offer an affordable and short-term insurance solution for them. Most tenant programs are a monthly pay-as-you-go type renewable policy, and it's convenient for them. When it's offered at point of sale, it couldn't be easier. Typically, a customer's coverage would continue as long as they continue paying the premium. It's simple. If they terminate their lease or they simply move out of their unit, coverage would stop at that time. This is a benefit that truly is priceless for that customer and can be a simple way to generate some additional revenue on a monthly basis. Let's go over that part of it. The administrative fees that we're talking about here, that's how you're going to earn that additional revenue. You as a storage operator can certainly offer the program. Pay with rent is what we're talking about. And again, once that customer has purchased the insurance, their premium is going to be embedded in their monthly rent charge. Each time your customers are charged their rent, you certainly would earn an administrative fee. At the end of each month, the storage operator is going to send in their monthly report to the insurance carrier and a remittance check for the net premium, having already collected their administrative fee earlier in the month. And we also provide free sales collateral and an informative manager guidebook. Most insurance carriers would do that. They do provide the materials at no charge in order to promote the insurance program. An addendum form is a commonality that you'll see in the industry. It's just an added piece of paper to the lease. And next, if you've missed anything up until this point, wake up now and check it out. This is the fast track to success, how it's going to work best for you. You want to definitely train and incentivize your managers. This has to be a top-down directive, one that you make from the corporate level, and you want to train those managers to offer the pay with rent tenant insurance, and you want the managers to feel comfortable in offering this type of protection. It is truly simple. It doesn't take much time at point of sale, but you'd also want to create a success reward to incent that manager to offer it, and also that's going to lead to increased participation from your tenants. Once you make that corporate directive, you're going to have that customer, that manager, offer it to all new move-ins and have a zero-tolerance policy that it would be offered to all without fail. Without that, you're not going to increase the participation. You're not going to make that additional revenue that you're hoping for. Again, as Keith had mentioned before about the addendum, you want to ensure that every customer goes ahead and signs that form. You keep it on file. That's for your protection. Having a signed addendum form, again, is going to be a deterrent to a lawsuit. It limits your potential with that liability, and again, decreases your risks. This should be another zero-tolerance policy with each customer in their file. It should contain that signed addendum form. You can also do audits to ensure that each of your managers at each location is in compliance with this new directive that you set up. You want to integrate the insurance premium into that monthly rental invoice. Now, the customer is given a convenient way to pay for the additional protection, that tenant insurance policy, and this will increase your retention. It will enhance it when it's integrated as a charge on their monthly invoices. Most customers, when they start with the insurance, are going to keep that in force until they move out of that storage unit. Now, some of the operators are beginning to require insurance coverage. I want to say going into this that you'll want to check with your counsel to make sure that this follows your state regulations. You can also check with your state Department of Insurance when it comes to tenant insurance. Just as an overview, before the customer moves into the unit, again, some of these large storage operations here in the storage industry now require that the customer purchase the tenant insurance or show proof of some other form of coverage, something like renter's insurance or homeowner's insurance, and before they're allowed to move into their unit. But this is, again, another type of strategy to help minimize your risks and to increase that monthly revenue. Now we're going to have Keith give you some background on how you'd start this type of a tenant insurance program.
Well, thank you again, Pete. For those of you who are listening, again, we would encourage you to pursue this if this is something that you would like to do in finding out how your facility could generate income through this or offer a program for tenant insurance. And Pete and his team want to make themselves available for you should you like to have a personal consultation and even go through some revenue projections based on the size of your facility and some projections as to if you have certain levels of success in selling this, what income you could earn off of that. So we put the number up there for Pete and his team at 800-253-5858. Another way you can do this is by visiting www.minico.com and just click on the Tenant Insurance tab. That'll provide you with some more information regarding tenant insurance. There's also a facility application form available there online for you to complete. Put in a few details about your facility and fax that in, and somebody would contact you. And lastly, Minico's Pay with Rent program is available in most states, but again, to find out specifically if it applies to your state, I would encourage you to give Pete a quick call. And for all of you who are listening today, we do want to offer a special offer for you. If we could advance the slide, just by simply picking up the phone after the webinar is done, give a call to Pete. We would like to give you either a free copy of the Mini Storage Messenger or a free issue of the Mobile Self-Storage magazine. That's our gift for you. We appreciate your time. We know that it's valuable. Your time is valuable, and for spending this time with us, we want to encourage you to take advantage of that free offer. And then lastly, we'll put a few more phone numbers on there if you should just want to find out anything more about other Minico areas where we can be of assistance. The tenant insurance is listed there again. Should you have questions about a commercial insurance policy, we have a number listed for you. Our publications department, who puts out the many publications that Poppy referenced at the beginning, a number listed. Or if you just have questions about Minico, about the webcast, or want to inquire about anything, you can always email us at customercare@minico.com. So what we're going to do now is, before we move into our Q&A session, we have compiled some of the frequently asked questions that owners and operators bring to Minico day after day. And so we thought that this may address some of the questions that you have on your mind. So we'll have Pete walk through those, and then afterwards we can address any other questions that weren't covered here. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Keith. I appreciate that. One of the questions I get asked all the time, how much of a time commitment is required to run this type of a pay-with-rent tenant insurance program? And it really is minimal. It's so small. It's easy for you to offer that. Again, it takes seconds at the point of sale to have the customer to inform them that this type of tenant insurance coverage is available, have them sign the addendum form. So it really is not much of a time commitment. And again, it can make you some additional revenue. So we'd encourage you to take advantage of that opportunity. It's just a few extra clicks, like I mentioned. And a lot of the programs have simple issuance with a tear-out policy pad. You can hand the policy right to the customer at point of sale. That's how the Minico program works. And once a month, there's a report that's generated by your software that's sent in with your remittance check, so it really doesn't take much of a time commitment at all. And then again, no additional steps at the time of the move-out unless the customer is prepaid more than 1 month. They just would move out at that point, and when their lease ends, they're done. The insurance coverage would end at that point. Another of the common questions we get here, what information is needed from the tenant to apply for coverage? Truly nothing much more than the general information that's used to enroll them in your software: name, address, telephone, their units, and the level of coverage they'd like on that unit. If they're having more than one unit rented, whatever's apropos, they can choose coverage separately on A and B. How's the policy issued? You know, I can't speak for other programs, but on our Minico program, we provide a pad of insurance policies, and it's one unique part of our program that we don't mail it out. We actually hand it out at point of sale. It's torn off the pad. There's a policy number on it. It's their actual certificate of insurance that they can hang on to and go ahead and load their unit with that peace of mind, knowing that they've already got the insurance in place. Another common question we get, is the tenant insurance program available in all states? Yes, it is. Check with your insurance carrier. Make sure that they've got the program available in your state. Again, there's going to be some different regulations that are going to apply. And again, we talked about the limited license, that's applying now in 8 of the 50 states, but it certainly is a growing trend. Another one here, does tenant insurance cover losses resulting from flood? And the answer is no. This is a contents coverage type of a policy that doesn't cover damage from rising water or water that goes underneath the door. And for example, on the Minico policy, we cover water damage from above. So if that roof were to leak, that would be something that would be covered, but you won't find flood coverage on a typical tenant insurance policy. What types of property are eligible for coverage? We always get this type of a coverage question that comes through, and the answer is most of the customer's contents is going to be available for coverage, or eligible is a better word. Almost any personal property, as it says here. Some business property also would qualify for tenant insurance coverage. Now, the policy is not designed to cover a Ferrari or other exotic or high-end merchandise, but definitely check with your insurance carrier to make sure you can verify that coverage before moving things into storage. Moving on, we do get asked this question, can a tenant get coverage for a business inventory that's stored in a rented self-storage unit? And yes, they sure can. Just depends. There's a few variables there, but you want to check to make sure that it's not super high-end or costly items. But that's a good thing because it makes it available for more customers out there. If they are a business client, they decide to store some samples in there or some other materials that they're going to be using on a later project, say for a cabinet maker that's got some things that they need to store for a time, those would be eligible. We kind of touched on this before. Can a tenant purchase coverage for more than one unit? Yes, they can. They're just going to choose coverage separate for A and B and get a policy for each. And it gives them some flexibility to choose coverage, high or low on either one, or equal, whichever their preference. Moving on, a few other questions here that we certainly get often. Can a tenant purchase coverage for more than 1 month? Yes, they can. The management software is going to handle that. If they want to prepay more than that current month, they can go 6 months, a year out if they wish. I would say a majority of customers are probably just going to pay on a month-to-month basis until they're ready to move out. And nicely, the insurance would be already in there with them. It's included in that rent charge. And again, that's going to help increase your retention at the storage location. You're going to have more customers with insurance. They're just going to keep renting from you, hopefully stay for a long time. How are tenant claims reported? When a customer has a claim, you know, there's instructions on that policy, how to contact the claims department at that individual insurance carrier, and they would initiate that claim, the tenant would. Of course, the other side is if they don't have a tenant insurance policy, that tenant, again, may approach the storage owner, and they're going to try to seek compensation from their loss, either from an out-of-court settlement or a threatened lawsuit, or, again, filing a claim on the storage operator's commercial insurance policy. You want to try to avoid that. By having a tenant insurance policy in place, that's the easiest way to do that. And now we're going to go answer some of your questions that you've been submitting. We appreciate you staying with us and providing those kinds of questions, and we certainly welcome them. I'll bring Poppy in to go over some of those.
Okay, great. We've got a lot of great questions today. The first one is, what is the best way to encourage your managers to sell insurance when they feel it is not needed?
You know, that's a great question. I think that you can inform and teach your managers that the tenant insurance is another added protection, just like they're going to be offering a lock to that customer, that this is another product or service that you're going to offer to that customer. They don't necessarily have to believe in it. They just need to offer it, and it usually would sell itself. Offering a simple protection when it's made convenient at that $8, $10, or $12 per month price point, they're going to take advantage of that. Now at Minico, we certainly do some additional training. That's part of our webinar today, and we're going to be following up with subsequent training as well. But we certainly can do that one-on-one with your managers, or meet with you at a district meeting with a group of managers to help present this type of material and do some good training.
Okay, Pete, the next question you may have touched on in your presentation, but if you could elaborate a little bit on it, what is the best way to sell insurance to your existing customers?
Well, if you're starting a pay-with-rent type tenant insurance program, maybe this is new to your customers and they hadn't heard that tenant insurance was available. You could certainly have those existing clients sign an addendum form. You could also do a mass mailing to all those current customers, sending them out some kind of a note, letting them know that this is now a program that's available. Include a copy of that one-page addendum to lease. Have them sign that, and you're going to certainly see some customers that will take advantage of that. One example would be if they've just moved more items into storage, they may be looking for some additional coverage that now it's become important to them, and they want to make sure to protect those items. Those are some suggestions. Give those a try. Certainly give me a call. We can talk about other suggestions as well.
Okay, the next question is, who sets the administrative fee? The insurance company, or do we set it, and how much is it?
Well, I can't talk for other carriers, but each company is going to have a different administrative fee. We'd certainly discuss that with you on an individual basis. Feel free to contact us and check that out. Each one's going to be different depending on the insurance carrier.
Okay. The next one is, does a facility have to have a commercial insurance policy in order to sell tenant insurance?
That's a good one, too. Those are not mutually exclusive here at Minico. If you have commercial coverage, you're not required to have the tenant insurance program. We would certainly encourage you to use that, but it's not required that you have both or have one or the other. You certainly can try out the tenant insurance program, and we'd certainly want to take a look at that.
Okay, the next question is, how do you handle a tenant who objects to purchasing tenant insurance by saying, I'm just storing junk that I don't need?
That's a great question. I would say if the old standby is true, that if it's worth putting a lock on, it's worth insuring, that we would encourage that customer to even get the entry-level coverage of $2,000. Those things are certainly worth something, even if it's sentimental value. They wouldn't be putting them into storage if it didn't have some value for that customer. So I would say still you'd want to offer that to everybody, and you're going to have certain customers that are going to take that and certain ones that won't. But you're offering that service, again, as an additional product or service for protection for that customer.
Okay, the next question is, I have 100 units in 6 locations. Can I offer this product to my tenants?
That's a good question. I'm going to guess that they're probably leasing for those 6 locations from one office, and you can do that, especially when it's organized by some software or a spreadsheet there, that would work for tenant insurance as well. You just have to use a way to differentiate those clients and what location that they're at so that you can indicate which of the properties that they're storing at. That would work.
Okay, next question. If a tenant is late on their unit and insurance payment, how are they covered?
That's going to differ by the different insurance carriers. Each will have a different method on how to deal with the delinquent client. I would check with yours because they can vary out in the industry.
Okay, and then the next question, which I think you've touched on, but we've been asked again, how do you offer tenant insurance if the state insurance commission requires a license?
Well, I'll just say that if your state requires a license, your insurance carrier should inform you of that requirement going into it. And before you get the insurance program started, they should definitely get that set up for you. You got to get that licensing done. But certainly give us a call and check with us on those individual states. We can advise you on that before the program gets started if you need a license in your state.
Okay, next question. Is there a waiting period for existing customers who obtain insurance? We're alluding to a customer who might buy insurance at the objective of filing, we're alluding to a customer who might buy insurance with the objective of filing on an existing loss, and we want to help avoid fraud.
That's a good concern to have. I would say that there are insurance carriers out there that when the insurance is offered that day at the new move-in, that is the only opportunity for that client to get insurance coverage on that first day. Some do that, some don't. I would say that that's a good concern to have about a quick claim situation. Your insurance carrier is certainly going to have claims professionals that will do the investigative work in case there is to be a claim like that. I would rely on that insurance carrier and their claims department to handle that.
Okay. Next question, do you recommend that the tenant complete an inventory list?
We definitely do. That's a recommendation before they move into storage, that they should gather any documentation that they have, take photographs of their things, especially if they're antiques. Then you can certainly get an appraisal done on those items. Photographs and video are good because it shows current condition and what you actually have, your items go before they go into storage. And the inventory list is just one of those other forms of documentation that's a good suggestion right then and there before the customer moves things in.
All right, and one more question. Does tenant insurance cover boats and RVs that are parked outside in parking spaces on the lot?
With tenant insurance, the policies may vary as far as available coverage. Now, for boats and RVs that are parked outside in the lot, you want to check with your insurance carrier to make sure that those items are eligible. An RV or a boat policy may be a better fit, but you've got to check and see if that coverage would be afforded when it's away from the house or when it's parked in a storage location. Always check with your insurance carrier.
Okay. Pete and Keith, we have some other questions, but I think they're going to be best suited for you to answer individually. So that will end the questions that we have coming in, unless anybody else has one they want to send in directly. Do you have any other comments you'd like to offer on the tenant insurance program?
I'd just like to thank everybody for attending our first webinar here on tenant insurance, and certainly would encourage you to take advantage of that type of program. If you'd like to get some more information on it, we will certainly be available. Please give us a call, either Keith or myself, and be happy to take care of you here at Minico. Thanks for your time.
Okay, great. Thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar. We hope that we provided useful information to assist you in your investment or development endeavors. And we'd like you to know that you will be receiving an email shortly with a link to the archived presentation. So make sure you watch your inbox for this email. And again, those questions that we have not answered will be answered individually after the webinar. Thank you for attending, and have a wonderful rest of the day.